Hello, my name is Omar Rampersad. It's Sunday, January 27, 2019 at 4:34 p.m. in Toronto. So what you're hearing is my microwave detector going off when it's pointed to the computer, like so. So that's the computer, that's the radiation in the computer, from the computer. And it's cycling through 1,000 to 1,200. So that's from the computer. It's hard to show you here. Maybe you could see that. 900. So that's the computer. So if I take it away from the computer, point it upwards, the sensor is here. See that went off with my touch? So my hand is emitting radiation. It's the right hand, left hand. And yesterday I was talking about measures to protect yourself. So I got myself a copper band bracelet, and both at the ends of this band, just show you here. These at the opening here. I don't want to take it out necessarily, but at these at the end points here, underneath there are 3 magnets. So on this side there are 3, and the other side there's 3 underneath, on the underside. And it's not very expensive. Less than 20 bucks on Amazon. That's Canadian dollars, of course. And didn't have to pay shipping, I don't believe. Well, actually, let me just qualify that. You can actually get it for free shipping if you order a certain amount of items. So anyways, 15 Canadian dollars, or 16, it's a $15.99, excuse me. 16 Canadian dollars. And it works to a certain extent. It depends on how high the power is when it's focused on the hand. But I found that I don't have more the amount of pain that I had before. I was going to say more pain than normal, because I always had pain in my hand, and I was thinking, you know, fibromyalgia, carpal tunnel syndrome, and when I did the experiments with this, I thought maybe it could be the radiation, so I bought this, and yeah, it helps. So this worked for me. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody. I'm just pointing out that it helped me, and it still is helping. So that's one measure you can take if you're suffering the same thing, or you can try, I should say. Okay, so I'm qualifying myself. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go on, but on this, but I'm qualifying myself because I don't want somebody to go and buy themselves a bracelet that's 30 Canadian, that's $16 Canadian, and then with their conversion in another country, it's really expensive, and then come back to me and say, oh, it didn't work. I'm saying it worked for me. And my camera is doing crazy things as usual. It's stuck at 424. and I'm not sure if it's going to come back or not. It disappeared. Oh, okay, there we go. So I'm going to demonstrate to you today's episode of what I'm subjected to inside of my home. So there are no magnets around my ear today. So that's the radiation. See how fast it went from 12 something to 0, just instantly. This is how quickly the pulsing takes place. It's less than a second, it's milliseconds. Good job. The eyes. So, well, you get the idea. When it's really hurting, it goes up to more than 1500. If it's instant, at 1000 or plus, if the pulse is very, 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 very quick, and it's not repeated, it doesn't cause pain. But if it's repeated, then it accumulates. Because what it does, from my understanding of the technology, is it stimulates your nerve cells, and it stimulates the pain sensors in the nerve cells. So when the nerve cell triggers the pain to the brain, that's when the sensation is felt as pain. So if it's repeatedly triggered, then the level of pain increases. So that's one. And if the level of power increases, the pain also increases. So there seems to be a cumulative effect as well as a strength effect. So the strength of the power with which the pulse is being sent, and the frequency as well. So these are my observations. I'm just trying to explain the way I understand the technology from my observations. So I don't want anybody coming back and making comments that I'm wrong or I'm right. It could be both, or I could be, I could be quite right about what I'm saying. So anyway, let me just change the topic here. So I tweeted a bunch of tweets today. And I explored the topic of illegal experimentation, unwitting experimentation, I should say. It's also illegal. Going back in history. And I picked up on the Ted Bundy case only because it was released on Netflix, and it came up on the screen when I logged on. I didn't go searching for it. And I just clicked on it, and I was looking at the first episode, and then I went on to the second. And there seemed to have been some connection or some talk of a connection to Satanism, satanic ritual abuse and sacrifice. And And I had read some articles about the connection between um, about being targeted and flagged for a sacrifice, to be sacrificed. So once the word sacrifice came up, it triggered the idea that it might be satanic or connected to Satanism. So I just drew some parallels for people to think about. It's very possible that Ted Bundy was being experimented with. Um, and there are there are groups of people who have access to technology, who can log on to people, as is being talked about around this unit in this building, and take them over basically. And there are ways of doing that. They can actually, given today's very advanced technology, they can pick up on your brain waves and alter them. They can record your brain, your thoughts, and or other people's thoughts, like murderers and criminals, brainwave patterns, and play that back into into the victim's head. And anybody could be targeted this way, and try to make them into criminals, basically. So, could you imagine then, just hypothetically, that Ted Bundy, let's say, for instance, let's hypothesize that Ted Bundy was being experimented with, and he admitted to having murdered 30 people, women. He also admitted to having murdered men as well, up to 100. But he was accused of murdering 30, according to what I read and saw. And say, for instance, that he was chipped, and the experimentee was logged on to him, training him. And as he was training him and he was acting upon what he was being trained to do, his brain patterns and the frequencies of the brain as he was committing the crimes was recorded and then played back to him to do it again. And the frequencies were altered to make him do it even more viciously and become even more violent. So the training was patterned, was layered in a pattern, nested programming. That was done in the MK Ultra program, and I did do a bit of reading on the MK Ultra experimentation that was carried out on innocent people, kids too. So is it possible that he was being experimented with this way, and the voice in his head was getting louder and louder, and he couldn't resist doing what he was doing because he lost control of his own own inner voice. Somebody else took him over. Is it possible? Talk to you another time.